I am Kaima Tini, and you're listening to the Mentor Movement Podcast, a show that explores the impact of mentorship in various industries from corporate to entertainment and how it's shaping the future of our work. Today, we're chatting with Rachela Farella about girls' empowerment. She is an empowerment coach and mentor for tween and teen girls. So, this is going to be a very fascinating episode for a lot of you that are really big into female or girl empowerment. But keep listening to learn more about empowerment for young girls. And remember to subscribe to the show if you really enjoyed this episode. Welcome to the show. We are literally so excited to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So to kick off, tell us more about you and your work.
My name is Rachela. I'm a mentor for tween and teen girls. I am also a mom. I have two tween daughters. So it's been quite the journey, being a mom and being a mentor and trying to
Mhm.
differentiate which hat to wear and at what time. But I work with young girls. I've been doing this since April 2021. During the pandemic, we had a lot of time on our hands, and I
Mhm.
truly felt that I wasn't at a place in my life, even as a mom, where I was very happy with what I was doing. I've always worked with students. I worked in high schools for the past 20 years. And then it was while I was working with the young girls where I realized that more and more they needed some guidance and some mentorship. And then during the pandemic, I found a company, and it's a wonderful woman who started her journey as a mentor at a very young age. And fast forward many moons later, I'm now officially certified as a mentor and a coach for young girls. And I run empowerment workshops in school, outside of school, where I basically work with girls and I guide them and I give them the necessary tools to navigate the girl world. That's what I do with my kids. I do that as well with my daughters at home.
Did your daughters inspire you to start your work, or was it kind of like something else?
So it was, I mean, if I have to go back to how it all started, it's a little bit of many different situations that I experienced as a woman, as a mom. But yes, throughout the journey, once this idea came to fruition and once it became my business, watching my girls navigate the girl world now in 2024, that's when I realized it was something that was absolutely a necessity for young girls. So at the start, they were babies. So it wasn't them per se who inspired the idea, but it was becoming a mom that inspired the idea. So I guess, yeah, you can say it was my girls. But then through their journey, becoming tweens, I saw a lot of their experiences and a
Mhm.
lot that were very difficult for them to navigate. And I myself, as a woman, I mean, if I go back to when I was a kid, my life was completely different than the way young girls are living today, just because of the amount of access to information and knowledge that they have at their fingertips, as opposed to when I was a kid. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have computers, we didn't have cell phones. Um, so, like just watching them grow, I realized how difficult it is to be a girl. And
Mhm.
I wanted to give them all of the necessary tools to navigate the girl world with the most ease, and simplicity as possible, and confidence too, because that's one
Mhm.
thing that I find all girls are lacking and that they really need.
I literally found that, with being a woman, it can be very crazy and hard because, of course, with growing up with social media, with all the social media posts being compared to our bodies to other people,
Yeah.
and women and girls are represented is very hard for girls, and how they see themselves on screen and also in the media can be very difficult for a lot of girls, and how they are portrayed, and also with social media, it can be very toxic. It was kind of like my parents and your generation, you guys didn't have to grow up with social media. But with
No.
our generation, with growing up with social media, we oftentimes deal with mental health issues
Mhm.
because there's so much hate and there's literally so much fulfillment in the way we see other people are portrayed and the way people are acting. So we should feel like, oh, we should act that way too to get popular and
Mhm.
post similar things as other people are posting.
Yeah, so social media is wonderful for so many different reasons.
Hmm.
But when it comes to our young children, and I would say our tween girls from the ages of 11 and up. I wouldn't say younger than that because they shouldn't really be on social media unless it's guided with a parent. But I feel like it's this need to please and to be like so and so. And I feel like social media was built, sadly, I'm going to say this, but it was built to fail our girls because our
100%.
girls are constantly scrolling and looking and comparing, and then they want to please, and then they lose sight of who they are, and they're so young that they haven't even developed who they are.
Yeah.
They haven't discovered. I mean, I'm 42, and I think it was in 2021 where I truly said, and I remember telling my husband and telling my family, I finally figured out who I am as a woman and what my purpose is. And I was 39 years old. So how can we expect 11, 12, 13, 14-year olds to already have their identity like written out for them when all they're doing is constantly comparing and scrolling? They're
Mm-hmm.
just being set up for failure. And I feel like when I was growing up, I didn't have any of that. And I think the worst we had were magazines, if we were lucky enough to have magazines in the home. Otherwise, we didn't have access to anything other than what's on television. And, back then, television is not what television is today.
Yeah.
So I feel like the generations obviously have changed. They will continue to change, but the social media aspect of it is what's, I feel like, destroying the true meaning of what being a girl is.
It really
Um,
is.
and and we have to build that back. We got to start back at the bottom and start teaching our girls all of the necessary foundations and all of the tools that they need to
Mm.
survive as a girl in the girl world. Because my daughter is 11, and the past 3 years in school, while she did really, really well academically, it's been hard socially, getting teased, getting bullied, and kids are mean. And I feel like while we can't really blame the kids because the kids only know what they learn, it's a harder life for our girls.
Yeah,
I
and
feel like,
plus, like when they grow up in that house of toxicity, they will be the exact same way to people if they're really
yeah,
in that household too.
I agree. I think everything stems from their upbringing. There are obviously, it's not like that for everybody. It's case by case. I'm a true believer in what I instill in my children and what I teach my children is what I expect from them outside of the house. And they know that I'm a firm believer that it's all about respect and kindness. And if they go against those two foundations, then it's like conversation after conversation and constant reminders. And it's not me being the annoying mom and the nagging mom. I just think that these are foundations our girls need, not just girls, even boys. But because my work is geared towards girls, I feel like our girls sometimes do need to be reminded, because, like we said, growing up a girl, it's really difficult. Society, social media, the media, it's warped that like what the true definition of being a girl is, and we got to fix it. We got to put the pieces back together.
And plus, like, if your mission on social media is to toxic all these women and girls to be betrayed by something, you are absolutely like you are killing it because it really like with social media, it can be so toxic. And the more time you're on social media, the more doubt you will face every single day. Because, of
Yeah.
course, when you're comparing yourself to other people, it causes you more harm than good. Social
Mhm.
media can be a very good and bad thing. Like you can stay connected with your friends, family, and other things. But with other people, you oftentimes compare to yourself to other people, even though you guys are two completely individuals. And you might not even know this person. They can be an influencer. So
Yeah.
you are comparing yourself to someone that you don't even know, where they're probably sharing pictures of the good parts of their life. And you're like, oh my gosh, why can't I have that? Like, why is my life not like that? Even though their life might not be perfect. They just might post the good things rather than bad, you know? And
Yeah.
like you just don't know what people are going through with social media. Even if you're an influencer or you're just a big social media person, it could be like very hurtful with all the hate and people comparing yourself and think you're just doing it for the money. It
Yeah.
can be very harmful.
And that's where I struggle as a mom today, because I only got social media when I was in my 20s, because that's when it was discovered, it was available to us. But in my 20s, I already knew who I was. I was an adult. I knew right from wrong. I knew what consequences were. I grew up in a very strict household where it was, respect your family, respect your parents. There were consequences. I mean, I think I am who I am today because of the way my parents raised me, and I'm super grateful for that. And I try to raise my children somewhat the same way, but also kind of going with the times because times have changed. But I feel like in my 20s, on Instagram or on social media, I knew what was fake and what wasn't. And yeah, sometimes you get that, oh my God, that person is living such a perfect life. But in reality, they're only posting what you want to see. We don't see what's happening behind the screen. And when girls who are very young and very naive and not mature yet, when it comes to social media and, being aware of the situations and the surroundings around them, they're not able to differentiate the difference of what they're seeing on screen. So, for example, if you're 13 years old and you love an influencer and they have thousands and thousands of posts and millions of followers, and all they post are these amazing videos, well, that's what your daughter is going to believe is how she should be. No one wants to post the negative stuff. Nobody wants to post the bad days. And yeah, sometimes there are people who do, but you'll never see that from the younger creators. I'm also a big believer that while being a content creator and an influencer works for some, I'm still a big believer in my daughter's going to school, getting an education, and finding a passion that is not in front of a screen. Because the problem now is that it's just so easy to become famous on screen, and then that's who you become, and then you lose sight of who you are, and you forget about who like you truly are. And I think that if I take it old school, the way I'm doing it with my workshops and like worksheets and journaling, and going into the schools and having discussions with the girls, it makes the girls take a few steps back, even at a very young age, and they start to realize like what they're worth. Because at the end of the day, the girls need to know what their worth is, and the only way that we can encourage them to do that is by truly allowing them the space and the time and the opportunities to do so. And I feel like social media doesn't allow the girls any opportunity for that. The
They
girls will
don't.
only post with the idea that they have to post for likes, they have to post for followers, they have to post for reshares and reposts. And I don't like that, because I mean, you could see my page and I only post obviously my work and positive content. And I'll oftentimes post when there's something happening in the girl world, especially with athletes or sometimes with politics, because that's the information that I want young girls to be reading. I don't think it's important for young girls to be reading or looking at pictures of the same girl who's done a nose job 3 times or has gotten breast augmentation or has changed her hair, because at the end of the day, your page won't be consistent and you're not consistent with who you are, and then you're not authentic. And that's not a message that I want my daughters to read. I
Yeah,
want them
I'm
to know.
honestly the same way. As I have a little niece who's about to turn a year old in September. And like as she grows older, like that is something I personally don't want to see as an aunt is all like her following so many influencers that literally getting a nose job and everything. I rather post information online that's actually impactful
Yeah,
rather than harm, because once young girls see that, they're like, oh my gosh, I should dye my hair too like them just because they did it.
yeah,
And like, who knows? Like, if they do it, they probably will like regret it when they're older. So it's like, as people grow older, like they sometimes regret things I did as a teenager that
yeah.
they're like, what the heck did I do that for? Just because this influencer did it. And that's how influencers make their money and how they influence people because they're making bad choices to the point where they're influencing their fans to doing the exact same thing, even though it might not be that helpful.
Yeah, and here's the thing, okay? So and these what we're saying, it's not a judgment to any of these women, because at the end of the day, if they're happy with the changes they make and that's what makes them sleep at night feeling confident, then I mean, who are we, right, to say that they can't do it? However, as a mom of 2 daughters, it's not a message I want my daughters to live by. I want them to, if they're gonna follow a creator, it's because their creator has a story. I want to hear about the girl who got a nose job because she was, not, I don't want to say she was being bullied or because she needed surgery and then that's why she needed it. Like I want a story behind the reasons why you made such impactful changes. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, is if the story can impact you in a positive way, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see my daughters growing up um, being influenced and admiring women who just constantly change the way they look and what they do and how who they are, because that's what feeds them confidence. Confidence comes within. It's a muscle. It's like a muscle. You have to build on it. You have to work on it every day. And you're not going to dye your hair blonde one day and pink the next to get that confidence. It's work that you have to do within yourself. And that's what my job is to teach these girls about how to journal, how to start writing their feelings on paper. And at the end of the day, like if I can teach my daughters to do that in an effective, positive way, then they're going to build their confidence in the right way, you know. And then if when they're old enough to understand the importance of social media, um, then once they start posting, I want to make sure that they know what they're posting, who they're posting for, what's the message that they want to deliver when they post that photo, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like it's all about the intent and the message, the delivery. And we have to start young because sadly our girls are getting on social media at a younger age. um, and I'm not in agreement with that. I think that there should be stricter rules. I also think there should be like education that follows being on social media. But I mean, to each his own. Everybody, they can do what they want, but I feel like you know, our girls unfortunately are being surrounded by a lot of toxicity when it comes to the definition of being a girl.
That is well said.
Yeah.
But as mentorship and everything, like what are kind of like some of the most difficult challenges young girls face today, and how can mentorship help them navigate these difficulties?
So, you know, I've been doing this job for a very long time. I've been working with kids and teenagers for a very, very long time. So I've had the opportunity to observe and take in, and that's obviously what led me to becoming a mentor. So then they're like, you know, number one, um, the lack of self-confidence, the lack of self-awareness, the lack of self-assurance, the need to please, that I've noticed is a big problem. That's like being a people pleaser all the time, and you shouldn't have to please. You have to please yourself, please your soul, please your inner self. You know, like the lack of self confidence is something that I'm seeing younger and younger, and it's really sad because a child is the most confident human being. Like if you think of it, like a child is the most confident human being. Think about like those fearless 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who jump off couches and do somersaults in the air and jump off their beds. I mean, that's fearlessness and confidence right there. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that confidence, it's there from when they're so little, but and it should stay there as they get older. But unfortunately, with the influences around them, it starts to break and it starts to diminish and it starts to disappear. And then what happens is that by the time they become teenagers, it's like they don't know how to find that self-confidence. And then sometimes they'll resort to making the wrong decisions in order to get the confidence they feel they need. So through my mentorship, I am giving these girls all of the necessary tools and all of the resources to, number one, keep that confidence in them, remember that confidence, but build on it every single day. And the way I explain it is in picture yourself for the rest of your life as a girl, as a teenager, as an adult, as a woman, you're wearing an invisible tool belt. But instead of there being tools, it's all of the necessary resources you need: confidence, fearlessness,
Mm-hmm.
creativity, mindfulness. You know, like anything you need, you're going to go into that invisible tool belt and you're going to find what you need and it's in you. But they need to do the work. And that's what my mentorship is. My mentorship is a program where I work with girls. I make it fun. I make them really think and like dig deep in their inner selves. And some girls are very quiet and very shy, and they won't necessarily participate vocally, but they'll participate just by
Mm-hmm.
being there. And so I feel like through mentorship, you're the guiding light for these young girls, and you're preparing them for honestly like an amazing future of fearless leaders. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's basically how I can take my mentorship and work with the challenges that the girls are facing.
Mentorship can be very powerful for young girls and even women as well. I have realized that When young girls are younger, they have more confidence than they do probably when they're teenagers because they're living
Absolutely.
life without social media. They're just living carefree. But when they are in their teenage years, they are really like, what am I doing? I have no confidence. I'm depressed. That's because you're growing older to the point where you're on social media and you don't know who you are anymore because you're older in your social media. And you don't know what to do because you don't feel like you don't have a place in the world. But there are many different factors you can have a place in a role and feel confident, such as a mentor, that can impact you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm a big believer um, in, like, I encourage and I tell moms, make your daughter have a mentor. You know, it doesn't have to be me because mentors come in all different forms. A mentor can be a big sister, a cousin, a friend, a teacher, but just find a positive role model for your daughter who is a woman and a female, and have that person connect with your daughter, and you'll know right away if they connect or not. Like, I mean, you're not going to connect with everybody that you meet, but I think it's so important for young girls to have a mentor, so that they have that go-to person, that person who's a constant in their lives, the person who's not going to be judgmental, the person who will foster their needs, who will encourage creativity, who will allow them to fail, but also teach them how to problem solve so that they learn through their failings. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, life is getting so chaotic that sometimes we want to just solve all our problems for our girls. But at the end of the day, we're not serving them anything if we do that. And so mentorship allows me to teach the girls how to problem solve, how to break the problems, how to identify the problems, find solutions, and then apply the solutions. Because if our girls at the age of, because my mentorship starts as young as 6 years old, okay, so I have different groups, but 8 and 9 is truly the age where mentorship should start.
Mhm.
And if we can teach them now at 8 and 9 years old how to problem solve and how to identify what's a good friend, what's a bad friend, what's bullying and what's teasing, how to encourage them to be creative without feeling shamed or embarrassed because they're different than the other girls, um, at the end of the day, we are only lighting them up for a beautiful future. I mean, my daughter was part of the Etche Girls TED Talk, and she was 9 years old when she wrote her TED Talk, and she was 10 when she filmed it. And she still tells me today, but mom, you know, like, I don't understand what the big deal is. And I keep reminding her, there will be a time in your life when one day you're going to understand the importance of what you did, and it
Mhm.
sets you off to be different than your other peers, and your passions are not the same like your
Mhm.
peers, and that's okay, because at just the age of 9 she was discovering her passion, and she knew
Mhm.
what she wanted to do and how she wanted, and what role she wanted to play in this world. And it's not often that you find 9-year-olds who can discover that place. But I
Mhm.
also encourage her, and then she had a wonderful mentor, and it was something that I constantly encouraged her to keep exploring and not to feel weirded out by it or feel like you're not like the other girls at school. Because I told her, at the end of the day, you're not like the other girls. I don't want you to be like the other girls. And that's the message that I lead with in my mentorship, is that you are you, and you are authentic in your own way. And through like this journey, you're going to discover your passions, what you like, who you are. And then you're going to find your place in this world, and you're going to find your voice. And once you find your voice, the
Mhm.
possibilities are endless.
They really are. And being perfect is literally non-existent. Like, it's okay to be different because when you're like other people, you're just like, it's just, you want to be your own authentic self rather than be like everyone to fit in because not everyone's gonna like you. And that's something I literally learned the hard way is not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna like you, and that's okay. You don't need everyone to like you.
No,
And
you
to
don't.
have the opportunity to do a TEDx talk at 9 years old is something that a lot of people don't have the chance to do at such a young age, which is amazing.
Yeah. And, and I just keep telling the young girls, perfection is ugly. There's no
Hmm.
such thing as perfect. And the way I describe it to my younger girls is, picture a rainbow and picture it only one color. And then next to it, picture another rainbow and put all of the colors in the stripes. And when you look at both rainbows, what sets one apart from the other? And the girls will automatically say, well, one is boring, it's just one color, and the other one is full of colors, it's beautiful. And then I make them stop, and I make them look at each other, and I say, you girls are all the colors of the rainbow,
Hmm.
because you are all what makes the world a beautiful place. You can't all be blue, and you can't all be red. Yeah, like, you all are different in your own way, and that's and that's how I use the symbol of a rainbow for the girls in my workshops, and it helps them start figuring out who they are. And even at the age of 6 or 7, it's just a fun way to just develop the idea of authenticity and being their own selves.
Love it. And before we wrap up quickly, like what does mentorship mean to you personally?
So, mentorship for me, it looks different every time I have conversations, every time I've gone through experiences. But at the end of the day, I like to think of mentorship as like, the Big Bang Theory. It's the Big Bang of our our future leaders. It's the creation of amazing, strong, wonderful young girls growing up to become compassionate and kind human beings and leading without fear, leading with confidence, and leading with their voices. And so that to me is what mentorship is. It's opening the door for all of these beautiful young girls.
I love it because mentorship can be so powerful in young girls because when they have different mentorships in different career fields, they have a better idea when they grow older to where you want to be when you're older, when you go to college, if we
Yeah.
decide to go, mentorship can provide a role to what you want to be and how confident you are, because mentorships can grow you as a confident, kind, and powerful individual. It can be
Yeah.
so powerful for so many people. And it can help you really grow as a person, and no matter what. It can be, personal growth. It can be career field, like a little insightful thing. Like it can be many
Yeah.
ways. It doesn't have to be a certain thing. But mentorship can help you so much, even if you're some young age. I totally recommend starting at a young age because the
Yeah.
earlier, the better, the more you learn. But mentorship can be very powerful. And if you have resources or not, I'll be happy to help anyone that's looking for it. I'm sure for you as well. But mentorship can really impact your life for the better and help you grow as a person and also professionally as well.
No, of course. It's on a personal and professional level. And at the end of the day, as our girls are getting older, at one point the personal and professional will link together. And that's when they're gonna remember everything that they've ever learned, and they're gonna be able to like just slay their futures. And honestly, like I can't wait to see what my daughters will do when they're older, but there's a lot of work that has to be done during that time. And it all starts with being present, positive reinforcement, encouragement, and just being there for your daughter and allowing them to grow as the individuals that they are meant to be. Like let's not block them from their opportunities. I'm a mom of opportunity. I see an opportunity, I grab it, and like if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we move on. And my girls, they know that if mom sees something exciting that could benefit them, then we're gonna
We're
we're
gonna
gonna get on
snag
it,
it.
and we're gonna try it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Whenever I see an opportunity, I always snag it. Opportunities mean growth and it can impact your future. It's great for the resume builder. It can
Absolutely.
start at a young age. Any opportunity that is offered to you, I would recommend taking it because it can help you so much.
Yeah, it's another door to your future, right? There's many doors leading to your future. I'm still growing as a woman. I'm 42 and I'm still growing and I'm still finding doors and I'm still trying to get like as many opportunities as I can.
Hmm.
And that is also my positive role modeling to my girls. And that's it. And like at the end of the day, mentorship is you being that person, that positive role model in your daughter's life or in a young girl's life, encouraging them to just be the best versions of themselves.
100%. So that is a great way to wrap up this episode. I hope everyone learned something very much new today. That is my biggest mission is to help you guys learn something new. And I knew she was such a perfect guest. Like on social media, I
Thank
followed her
you.
for I don't know how long, probably about a year now. And her work is absolutely amazing. I knew once I started this platform that I had to get her on as a guest. She is such a powerhouse for young girls, and I definitely absolutely learned so much from you, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat with us today.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate it. And let's try to encourage our girls to just keep going and not stopping.
For sure. So thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for next week. There's gonna be another episode in the works, which is amazing. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to subscribe, review, and like, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you next week.